Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get this meeting started. And first, I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you giving me the time to talk with you about this proposed change that I have for us as coaches and as an organization. And the change that I'm proposing has to do with the way that we go about doing our scouting and our game planning for each series and then preparing our players. And this change that I'm proposing really has also to do, and it's an indication of a broader vision, which is the vision of for us to uh, ultimately blend analytics with instinct in our game planning and game preparation, and also for us to have the culture as an organization of excellence, to have a championship culture. And I really think that this change that I'm proposing for us will get us down the road and help us to become all of those things. First off, I want to start off with reading the first part of the Milwaukee Brewers mission statement. Never read it before until I started looking at this to present to you guys tonight. But here's what it says. The Milwaukee Brewers are committed to fielding a competitive team both on and off the field that exemplifies a strong work ethic, respect for the game, and loyalty to our fans. And if you could keep that in mind as we talk about this proposed change and the vision that I have to put in front of you guys today, you'll see that all of this fits in those three main areas, ultimately to help us field not only a competitive team, but I know that all of us want to win championships, and there's no reason why this group in this room shouldn't be able to be the catalyst for that championship culture to happen. First off, we all know stats have been around since baseball started. Uh, People have always, somebody has always kept up with batting averages and earned run averages and the number of home runs a guy hit or the number of strikeouts a pitcher had. But in the past, probably when all of us were playing, those stats were mostly just used to evaluate players as far as what they should be paid and if we want them on our team. Then, over the past few decades, that stats have grown exponentially and really become an industry to their own in the world of analytics. And so that we know, I mean, today, analytics has really become impactful in not only evaluating players for contract and free agent status, but also we all know here that analytics have become a big part of game planning and scouting. Uh, and some organizations, in fact, have gone the whole analytics route. And we all know that there's some organizations that just only want their coaches to follow the plan that the analytics team has given them. They don't really want them to use their instincts, just follow the plan. And then other organizations haven't even begun really to utilize analytics very much, and so they're going strictly off of instincts. I think that the Brewers organization and us in this room have begun to blend instinct with analytics. And really, what I'm going to propose to us is further, I think, the ultimate blend of instinct and analytics so that it becomes applied analytics. And I'd love to coin that phrase for us as applied analytics, the idea that we can best use our instincts in applying analytics to game planning and player evaluation. So what I'm proposing to us is, how usually you hitting coaches study the opposing pitchers that your hitters are going to face, and so that you can evaluate the pitchers and tell your hitters what to look for and all that. And us as pitching coaches evaluate the other team's hitters and to be able to give our pitchers an idea of what they're going to be seeing when that player steps up to the plate. And that's been good. It's been effective. We've got the most out of our players last year, I think, and over the years. But I think there's a step further, and for us, I really know that we all want to be on the cutting edge. We actually want to be the cutting edge in game planning and scouting for our players. So what I'm proposing is not that we stop doing what we've been doing, but that in addition to that, us pitching coaches evaluate the opposing team's pitchers, because if I knew hitters better than pitchers, I'd probably be a hitting coach, but I'm a pitching coach. And likewise, you hitting coaches, you know hitters, you know what they think, you know what they're looking for, you know their swing path, you know what's going wrong with them mechanically when their swing's out of whack. You know what pitchers can do to them to mess them up. So my plan, my proposed change is that in addition to what we already do, let's incorporate what our expertise and what our areas of experience would best be served in using the analytics that we have to game plan for the other teams. Yes, it'll take some more time for us, but in the end, we'll be able to better prepare our players. We as a staff will know the opposition better and more thoroughly. It'll encourage communication. We communicate well anyway. It'll encourage communication amongst our group, and I really believe it will show up on the field. We finished one game out of a playoff spot this last year. What if there was one game that this could have won us? And I'm not saying we've done a bad job in our game planning, but we can get better. We need to be at the lead in the industry for all of that. And here's why we need to change. For me, number one, we all know we're the smallest market in baseball, period. Number two, we all realize that we have the second smallest payroll of any major league team, which, as we all know, means that it doesn't mean that our players aren't talented. It just means that we're not going to have the established, really already successful caliber veteran players. We're going to have the young players. We're going to have the guys that haven't quite proven themselves yet. And so we're going to need to do everything that we can to prepare them for the game situations. And then third, the expectations to win that we're going to have in this upcoming 2018 season. 2017, we surprised people. We far exceeded the expectations for us. This next year is going to be different. We're going to have expectations on us to win. People are going to think we've finished a game out of the playoffs in 2017. We should easily be in the playoffs if we're continuing to get better. Those are the reasons for me that we need to continually change and improve in everything that we do. So here's the plan. And you know, whenever an organization is entering a change, typically the first thing that needs to happen is an increase in the urgency to make that change. I don't really think that we need any increased urgency because of the fact that we realize the expectations that are going to be put on us this next year. We've got to do even better than what we did last year. It's just the expectations of the fans, ownership, media, all that. We need to do that. I think our urgency amongst this group is really high, and we need to realize that we're in it together, and I think that our urgency will remain high. The second thing really that happens as an organization is entering an important change is that the guiding team for that gets built. Well, our team of people leading that change is already built. It's us in this room. And assuming that we have the buy-in of everybody here, particularly the hitting coaches and the pitching coaches. I've already talked with the other pitching coach, and we're on board from that end. But as long as we're on board, we really form the guiding team for this change. From there, it's important that we get the vision right. Not only that we know what the vision is. I know we all have the vision of winning a championship. sometimes it comes down to asking questions, the right questions. And in a little bit, I'm going to tell you about a T-shirt with a question on it that I think will help instill that vision that we're operating off of within the players and everybody around us. Um, our vision for this change and this needed change really, to me, will be to be the best at preparing our players, okay, to have the ultimate blend of analytics and instinct. We want to have really, really well applied analytics through our instincts. And we've got to trust our instincts as coaches based on the analytics. And then ultimately to have a culture of excellence, to have a championship culture. That's what we're after building. It's going to also be important for us to communicate, not only with each other, to make sure that we make adjustments that we need to. We need to know how things are going, any suggestions to even make it better. Us in this room are going to need to communicate with each other. We're also going to need to communicate with our owner, our general manager, those that are our bosses, pay our paychecks. We need to communicate with them about what we're doing, about this vision, and what we believe can happen and why we're doing the things we're doing. They need to see that. They need to have buy-in right along with us. And also, finally, we're going to need to communicate with our players so that they know what we're willing to do as coaches, and they know that our work ethic and our commitment to a championship culture, they need to see that, they need to know it, and so that it will permeate into what they do. And we need to include them in the process as well, which I'll get to. It's really important as an organization goes into a change for everybody to feel empowered in their actions. And guys, you know that our owner and our general manager are pretty much giving us the freedom to do whatever we need to do to field a winning team to get the most out of our players. We are free to coach like we need to coach. And so from that standpoint, we are all empowered to put this change into place. Which brings me to the T-shirt that I think would be a cool T-shirt for everybody to have. The T-shirt asks a question: what's it going to take? Now, we'll finish the question for the players to begin with, but ultimately the players need to realize that what's it going to take. They need to fill in the blank with it. What's it going to take for me to perform well tonight? What's it going to take for me to be a championship player? What's it going to take for us to win tonight? What's it going to take for us to win this series? What's it going to take for us to make the playoffs? What's it going to take for us, the Milwaukee Brewers, to win our division and ultimately win playoff games? And finally, what's it going to take for us to be champions, to win the World Series? What's it going to take for us to do that? I truly believe that being the cutting edge in game planning and player preparation is part of what it's going to take for us to do that. But T-shirts will help empower everybody to have the freedom to do what they feel like they need to do. Then we need to have some short-term wins with this. And this is why I am proposing to us, along with this change, in the next week, let's get together. Those pitching coaches will pick a couple of hitters that we want you hitting coaches to evaluate. Tell us what you see, break down their swing, help us know everything we need to know about that hitter. And then you hitting coaches pick a couple of pitchers that you want us to evaluate and let you know what he does when he gets in trouble, what he's thinking, the things that stress him, and the pitches that he really looks to make, and how he goes about trying to get hitters out, what he thinks when runners are on base, just all of that stuff. We will evaluate those pitchers and give you that information, and we can talk about how to best present that to the players. Then we need to get a hold of a couple of our position players and pitchers, present the new information to them, and get their feedback. I'm sure that they will appreciate what we're doing. It's the dead of winter, and we're working to help them succeed and reach their dreams of being world champions. I know that the players will appreciate that. Then from there, I don't think we stop. I think we continue right on evaluating. We could pick a team, evaluate that entire team, and just continue that all the way up through the end of spring training, and so that by the end of spring training, we're beginning the season already with a database of player evaluations and game plans on everybody that we're going to play this year. I think those would be huge short-term wins, and it would help us keep the momentum going. Especially once we get into the season, it's going to be important for us to remember those expectations. I know we wear them, we feel them emotionally, but it'll be important for us to remember those. And then to keep the momentum going, I think that it would be wise for us to have post-game, post-series evaluations, and to see what we did well, what made sense, where we need to get better with this team that we just played, and keep that on file as we look to play them in a later series in the season. Next, and ultimately the thing that's going to make this change stick will not only be our commitment to the vision of being a championship team and having a championship culture, and constantly asking the question, what is it going to take? What's it going to take from me? What's it going to take from us to be and to have a championship culture? Because as we all realize, a change in an organization really solidifies when it becomes the culture. And I know that's, as coaches, what we set out to do several years ago, is to build a championship culture in this organization. And I think we can do that. The resistance for this really only could come from us in this room, because we're the ones that have the freedom and are responsible for preparing the players. I really think that thoughts like that we'll have to guard against, the thoughts like no Brewer team has ever won a World Series. That kind of thought, is our enemy, and it can provide some resistance to us being willing to put in the extra work and doing the hard work and communicating and asking the questions that we need to ask. Also, just telling ourselves we're the smallest market. We got the second smallest payroll. It's going to be enough for us just to compete. If we can just be competitive and have fans come, we're always going to draw well because the Milwaukee fans are awesome. I know none of us in this room want that to be enough, and we can't let that provide any resistance to us just going and being the very best we can be in game planning and game preparation. And again, I'm not saying we've done a poor job of that. We've done a good job. We've worked as hard as any other staff, but there's more for us to do. We can take it further. Let's apply this concept, take advantage of our own expertises as coaches, and share that amongst ourselves and help the other coaches prepare their players to succeed. Ultimately, in closing, and thanks for your time, but in closing, I'm excited about the possibilities for us. It's possible. Some team wins the series every year. There's a handful of organizations that have the championship culture. It's something that we can do. Let it be this group in this room that builds that culture and helps to solidify it in the Milwaukee Brewers. Thanks, guys.